Okay, guys, so this is I did a training yesterday about support and resistance and gave a presentation and then went up and marked up a chart. It didn't work. The recording didn't work. And so what I want to do is just mark up a chart. And we're going to do that with AMD. Here, let me take that away. Okay. So the whole point of everything that I was doing was just simply identifying support and resistance zones. And so let's expand and get at it. So for those of you that were here yesterday with me, this is the second time I'm doing this with you, right? So let's see if we can get you guys to get some correct answers. I know we've got 15-second lag, but all right. So for AMD, what do you think the most important time frame for me to mark up is? Now, always remember that I always think of charts as having three sections, and you can label it however you want, but one is the section above, two is the section we are in, and three is the section below. And the only thing that I care to do is to try to catch the moves in between the ranges. So as 3 goes to 2, or as 2 goes to 1, or vice versa, as 2 goes down to 3, right? So, yeah, exactly, Jay. They're idiots. All they're trying to do is make money for the people they work for. So for me, the most important time frame is going to be this box right here, right? This is the most important time frame. However, this is going to be section 2, then you've got section 1 above it and section 3 below it. Now, one of the things that makes this interesting just about AMD is when I was marking up AMD, when it looked like this, I had to go all the way back here to figure out where resistance was. This was extremely important. And so I went back here and marked it up. But now that we've actually had a break of these people and we've come back down into them, they're not as important as they were. Could they have an effect on it? Sure, but it's not going to be anything like it was before we hit it for the first time. Okay? So unlike what I did with Microsoft yesterday, I'm actually going to work backwards on AMD. So on Microsoft, what I did is I went back and worked forward. So this time I'm actually going to work from the closest date and work backwards. So here, let's break down just this local area of where we are. And for me to do that, in TradingView, you've got an option where you can select a date and get a very detailed breakdown of the VP. For me to do it with TC2000, I actually have to switch to the time frames. I can't select certain dates. And so like the closest that I can get to this is a 10-minute chart. So I've got a 10-minute chart here that goes back to the 23rd of June. Let me take these off. Actually, what I'll do is, just to make it a little bit easier to see, is I'll change this to a one with no lines on it. So again, this white line is just letting me know this is where I want to get VP from, right? I want to get VP from this white line. I guess it should be here, actually. And ideally, I want like a 25-cent spread, maybe a 10-cent spread if I can get it there on AMD. And then I'm gonna drop just an anchored VWAP right here on the breakdown to figure out where everyone is on average on the breakdown. Okay, let me go back to the 10. So the 21st. All right, so I think this is good right here. got such range to the upside. So now I'm gonna start marking things up. You can see that this is the base here. I'll increase volume at price. Is that better? So now you can see, right, the VP range. You can see the chunk of it really is right here. You've got a little bit. I'll put a little bit right here. You know, you can see that's a little bit less. So I'm going to lighten up the thickness of it just so I know it's a little bit less. There's another piece here. And actually, the other thing I want to do is I'm actually going to zoom into this section here. So what this is, so that's there. What I'm doing is seeing the flow, like these VP lines are moving, and that's telling me where the volume is. Because remember, this volume profile measures price action in a horizontal factor instead of a vertical factor like regular volume. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I've got a decent amount of where we are currently, right? I'm going to go back to the daily, and you can see, right, just from where we've marked up, we're just barely hanging on, right? Every time that we've broken this line to the downside, it's been bought up. So somebody is willing to buy all these breakdowns. See how every time we've gotten into this square box, it's been bought up? You know, if this breaks, just looking at this chart that I have on the screen, if this starts to break down, where are we going to? Can anybody tell me? Let me zoom in and let you see the numbers. If this little box, if we start breaking down just according to VP, what level are we going to go to? So Daryl, you should be able to see the numbers now, right? As I zoom it in, can you see the numbers now, Daryl? Yeah, exactly. 198. That general section is pretty obvious, right? Look at the air below. I mean, you know, top side being 100, bottom side being 95. Somewhere in there is where we're going to. So now let's figure that out. Let's see if we can. The next thing that I want to. The next thing that I want to do is I want to figure out the top side, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in to just where I have this square box. And this is going to tell me where if for some reason AMD comes out with news and we just shoot up to 120, I'll know where the resistance areas are from these people, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make them a different color. So let me expand. Okay, so on the 15-minute chart, so like if you have TradingView, instead of doing what I'm doing and being stuck with a 15-minute chart, you can actually just select the date of, you know, what is this, May 25th to June 21st. So you guys could literally just select that date and even get a better detailed view than what I'm going to be able to get, because I can only use a 15-minute chart. You could zoom it into a 1 or a 5. Okay, so this is what I see is the upper section. Let me get rid of the box. And so pretty obvious, right? Right here. And right here. So for me, I'm going to make this line a little bit thicker, right? And I'm going to make this line a little bit thicker. It actually needs to be above. Right? These are your main VP levels, right? Call it point of control or whatever you want to call it. Then you've got another one here. And then you've got another one here. right? So you got a little bit of cluster right there. And then I'm going to make some lesser VPs in here. And I'm going to make those a little bit thinner. Okay, so, oh crap, I forgot to change the colors. Now I got to go through individually and change the colors. How annoying. So let's make these purple. And we'll know, hey, once we reach the purple, we're into this date. And so I'll take a note. I'll make a note, and the note will say, sorry, I just got a text. The dates, we'll make the dates. So we'll know what purple lines these are. Purple. Anant, are you in here? Larry, calling Larry. So text here, we're gonna put, this is the, what was it, May 25th to July 17th or something like that. I'm sorry, June 17th. And I'm gonna make this purple. And I'll make the things bigger. All right, so now we have the dates. No, it's from my buddy Anant. He's texted me exactly what he typed in chat here a few minutes ago, and I've already answered him. So I don't know why he's texting it to me. Now we've got the white lines, meaning what we're in today, and we're going to do the previous lines, the remember section 1, 2, and 3. So we've got 1, we've got 2, and now we're going to do 3, which is all this, right? And so let's do it. Let's zoom in and figure out where these people are. So for me, what I'm thinking is I actually want to get back to here. I'll zoom in to right here too, just to see if there's any differences, but I actually want to get all the way back to here. So there's kind of 2 little sections here that I'm going to look at, but it's all encompassed between the 30th, this date forward. So how far back can I go on the timeline wise? Can I get to a 30-minute chart? No. Can I do a 65? Yeah, I can do a 65. So I have to use a 65-minute chart. Again, this is something that you guys can do with TradingView with a lot better detail than I'm going to be able to do, because I have to use a 65-minute chart. Okay, so let me see if I can get to these guys real quick. If I can get to these guys, can I do that on a 30? Yeah, I can do this. So I'm actually going to use a 30-minute chart for this first section. Yeah, okay. So do you guys see that? I mean, there's just a lot of room between these guys and these guys. I mean, you're talking 10, 12 points. So what I'm seeing now is, man, I need to zoom in a little bit. I need to break this out. So let me go back to the daily. I'm going to show you what I have to do because of just the distance and range. I need to break this up into 2 different sections. I need this section, and then I need this section, right? So these are the 2 that I've got to break down. So let me move this forward again and see how close I can get. Can I get on the 15? No, I have to use the 30-minute. So using the 30 minutes chart, let's zoom into these guys and see where they are. Okay, let me get rid of this. Okay, so man, this one's a little bit difficult. Give me one sec. Because you're still, yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do is zoom back into these guys from the 8th of May to the 25th. And again, if you can't follow exactly what I'm doing, this is recorded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this yellow VP, this yellow one right here, and I'm going to make it thick because this is by far the biggest level, right? So let's make this one a little bit thicker. And then I'm going to put in a line here. You guys can see that, right? And then really you don't have another one until right here that kind of protrudes. And then now we know why price is being absorbed where it is. Remember I said every time it breaks this box, somebody's buying, right? Well, something that I didn't have on the chart and I didn't see was you got these people that were buying in this area. So these guys are providing support. And there's a little bit right here as well. So I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller. So we do actually have a little bit of support down there. And so I'm going to, again, put in the text just to know the dates on this. What is this? May 9th through May 25th. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the current chart, right? Just to see. Okay, so yeah, so there's some people here that are, these people are absorbing the price action down here. They've held it a couple times, right? So if we do get a bounce on AMD, right, we've got one, you know, two, really it's kind of sloppy because it's not the same. It's a little bit lower low. But if we continually start keep rolling over like this, these people are going to break. It's just going to be too heavy. And then we'll probably break down and come, and we'll get a little bounce off 102. Maybe that brings a retest, and then I think it rolls back down to 100 and then possibly down to 97. So that's what it looks like on AMD for me. I also think that I want to get a little bit lower as well, and I want to view into these people to see if they're affecting these yellow lines very much. So to do that, I have to bring it back to here. And I think that was that a 65 or a 30? Yeah, I can do it on 30. So let's zoom into this area. And there is, I'm just going to make this a little bit different color just so I'll know that it's an older one. You know, you've got a little bit here. Let's make this red. And we'll make this one red. And that's really it. And okay. So now I'm going to go back to the chart, the daily chart, and I want to see where these yellow and reds are. So, okay, so what I would tell you here is the red lines aren't near as important as the yellow lines. Will they play a part? Maybe. So I'm going to leave them in. But the yellow lines are much more important than the red lines. Can anybody tell me why? Why are the yellow lines more important than the red lines? I'll leave that out there if anybody can answer that. And then I want to see just right below them where the breakdown is as well. That won't take long. Literally, it's just right underneath them. And here we go. Most recent, closer dated. Yep, you got it. You got it right. So what that means is everybody in these red lines that were providing support and resistance has had an opportunity to get out and or be happy. So they were underwater because the stock went down. It came up. So it was highly important when we were coming into this zone, right? But hopefully everybody that was going to stop out because it went down or get out, sell, they've already sold, right? So I don't think that if we come back into that zone, these people are going to be like, hey, let's sell now and or buy now, because they were already underwater once. They were able to get out. There's not as much of a good memory as buying here in this level and being able to sell up into the rip. And so these people down here are probably waiting, you know, saying, hey, if it comes back into this area, I'm going to buy for sure. I hope that makes sense. So this is it. This is the level. Now, I think I saw somebody was asking about this purple line. This purple line is simply an anchored VWAP. I'll change the color of it. Let's make it whatever color this is, so it's not the same color as these purples. And all this means is from the breakdown of this upper area, from the breakdown of these guys, this is your average volume weighted average price, right? So if we can get over this line, that means anybody that is bought from this breakdown that is holding, on average, is happy, right? And that usually lines up with the VP, and you can see that 113 is close. So now that we've marked it up, we can identify support and resistance zones. We have to create a plan on trading. So we've got our support and resistance zones. We've got the dates, right? We know when and where everything of the people we're playing against are located. We know their cost basis, and trading the trader, it lets you know how to handle things. So where we are in AMD is right here. So what do you guys think happens if we come up into this region on AMD? Let's say we get some good news and we push up, or not, forget the news, because news trumps technicals, but throughout the day tomorrow, we get a push up into the 110.50 to 111.50 range. What do you think is going to happen? For one, I'm going to take some profit for my dip buys, right? I'm going to take some profit. You've got all these people that are in here. These people right here that are trapped. They literally bought because AMD's ripping and then we gap down. All these people are going to be like, "Woo, I'm back to break even. Let me get out." Right? And so you're going to start getting some pressure on the sell side. And that means demand better be through the roof, or you're going to get a rejection. And so if I was going to draw something out, it would be like, boom, boom, we break up. Okay, that allows us for a retest. All these people are stopping out, break even. They're like, yay, I'm even, right? And then we'll have to see if AMD has the demand to hold this new level to break up and through. Does that make sense? So one of the things I need to do now is, just for my understanding of this chart, these white lines, I don't have one that's like, hey, this is the point of control. Hey, this is the over under. Hey, as soon as we hit this point, I need to sell. Or if we get over this, let's get long. So I need to do that now. And it's kind of hard on this one because of the range. I mean, you're going from 105 to 120, and that's a lot of range. So let me zoom this into here. Man, what a cluster F, right? Jeez, so much right in between here. For me, I would say this is probably the more important one. So we're over that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to zoom into it a little bit tighter and break just this section down. I'll take these guys out and let's look at just these guys. So you can see it's a little bit cleaner now, right? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this up. This is going to be I'll move this down here, edit. This one's a little bit less. You've got a little bit here. And you've got a little bit here. But I think above that, once you clear that, you're going to be good. Until right here. And then you're going to start getting into it's at this level. Now, once you break this, if it breaks, now I'm going to zoom in just to the people above them. That level is here. Okay. So the reason I'm doing this for the number 2 is because this is currently where we are. And if AMD decides to push up into these levels, I need to be very clear about my plan and what I'm doing. Right? So if AMD is able to create some type of pattern, like if we bounce and we come up here and we push up to here, what kind of pattern could be in the works? Well, possibly inverted head and shoulders, right? If AMD does this, what possible pattern could we be forming? We could be forming a double bottom or a descending triangle for a breakdown, right? So for me, the levels that I'm watching now on AMD are this cluster of numbers, and I'll shrink it down so you can see them. So for me, over under on AMD is literally going to be this 110 level. If we can start fighting up between 110 and 111, then that may give us the legs to push through this cluster of, how many months is this? June, July, 2.5 months of, this is 2.5 months of consolidation here, right? So this is, you guys tell me what path is the easiest path, up or down, by looking at this chart. Yeah, down for sure, right? For sure. So if we can start getting up into this range, it's like, all right, maybe I can start looking at AMD to long. If AMD does break, then I think it's a safe play to short down to the 100 level. And then I will cover and actually try to bounce off of these levels to bring it back up here. Because in my opinion, I think the path from this level down to this level will happen relatively quickly, and there won't be a lot of resistance created. And so we should be able to bounce back up, a few points, and then we'll figure out where we want to go. All right, any questions on this? This is just marking up a chart. This is finding support and resistance levels, creating plans, understanding it. What time is it? It's 3:14. And here, I'll run through this. This was on the recording for yesterday that didn't work. Sorry, Nate. We broke it. We broke the market. So here, I'm just going to run through this real quick. This is a PDF, a PowerPoint that I created years ago. So the prices are going to be a little outdated, but the theme is still the same. This was my chart of AMD at the time. Lots of lines, lots of things. If you were to hand this to somebody, they wouldn't know what the heck is going on. But for me, I know what it means. And if we were to clean up the chart and look at it just blank, right, this is what it looked like for week ending May 1st, 2020 with no lines. this is my chart for May 20th. I mean, that for May 1st, 2020. So you can see the difference, right? 1 versus 2. Well, which one's easier to read? For most people, it's going to be this one. For me, it's this one. So my friend Marlon, he only trades AMD. He profits about 3 to 9,000 a week. His core position is 10,000 shares of AMD. He only sells calls and puts on AMD. This is my favorite way of long-term trading. This is what I do, and this is what I taught Marlon. So he doesn't have this chart reading skills as good as I do. So he asked me what to do throughout the week. So he sent me a text and he said, "Hey, are you selling calls on this spike?" This is what it looked like when he was asking me. And what do you guys think my answer was? Was I selling calls on this spike? And this is what my chart looked like. So you guys tell me. Put a 2 in chat if you think I was telling him to sell calls and into this spike. Should he be selling calls? And what that means is he's got shares, and if he sells a call at, let's say, 53 and the stock finishes above 53, his shares get taken away from him, right? And so his goal is to sell calls just above resistance levels, right? So his shares didn't get taken away. Well, the answer is no. That's right. So the reason being is, over here I said, hey, the ADMA, 20 SMA, they're converging right into this 5350-ish region. This is the first target for selling calls. So if you look over here, I told them to wait till we get to this 5349 to sell, right? This is when you should sell calls. Not right here, because you still got $1.50 of range that you can capture, which out of 10,000 shares equals, $12,000. If he waits to sell, he can make an additional $12,000. If he waits, literally $1.50, he can make an additional $12,000. And then he asked me, hey, I sold 50 puts, hope to get him. He's trying to get put the shares. And I'm like, just wait, right? He's selling calls and he's wanting to sell calls and puts just too early. I sent him this picture. I'm like, look, wait till this area, wait till the 5350-ish. And you can see the next day, where did we gap up to? So this is where we gapped up to. So guess what I did? As soon as we opened into this region, whoops, sorry. Let me get the pin. So as soon as we opened at 5350, I was selling calls. I was selling to open calls against my shares. That's a short position because we're at resistance and I think we're going to go pull back. And that was the high for the entire week. Okay. So you can see 53.51 was the high. This was target 1 for selling calls. The high for the week, 51.51. So how did I pick the top before the week even started? How did I know that was the level? And all of this is what we just did. It was me breaking down volume profile, what I was looking at from the beginning of the week. I use my favorite indicator, volume profile. And you can see, remember how I talked about air? If we broke, again, using the 1, 2, 3 method, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. If we break 2, we're going to 1, and that's what I want to capture. Once we get into 1, I sell and or short to bet that we're going to have a resistance level come into place. Now, I didn't sell, so let's just say I want to sell 100 calls, right, to capture my 10,000 shares. I would sell 50 here and 50 here, right? We don't know if it's going to stop right at the bottom or if it's going to keep going and then roll over. Right? So it's not like, hey, I can read charts and I can take a position at exactly the right time and exactly sell at the top and the bottom. That's not true. You have to average in, average out. But you get the idea from VPs, okay? This is how you become a successful trader. You make good plans by reading the chart. Learning candlestick patterns is less important. Here's some moving averages that are, the most used, 20, 50, and 200. ADMA is often used for near term, like Nate uses that for buying the TPS. Candlestick Course by Steve Neeson's a good read. And then just know news always trumps technicals. Okay. All right. I think I did the training again, and I hope it worked this time. And I'm going to stop the recording.